The Mexican president has defended the military operation that captured a drug cartel leader, Ovidio Guzman, the son of jailed drug trafficker El Chapo. Violence erupted in Culiacán, a stronghold of the cartel. At least 19 members of the Sinaloa cartel and 10 members of the military were killed. The arrest comes ahead of a visit by President Biden to Mexico on Sunday. Sylvia Lennon-Spence reports.
Have you ever heard of the Battle of Culiacán, also known as Alculia Carnazo? It's a story that the Mexican government wishes to forget. After the recent capture of one of the most wanted cartel leaders, chaos erupted in the state of Mexico. In the middle of it all was El Chapo's son, a ruthless drug kingpin who caused the city of Culiacán to go on lockdown. And this is how the arrest of El Chapo's son got 29 people killed. After the recent capture of the video of Guzman Lopez, one of the most wanted cartel leaders, chaos erupted in the state of Mexico. As the son of notorious kingpin El Chapo, his arrest caused violent retaliation from the cartel, and the city of Culiacán was placed on lockdown. Despite this not being the first time video has been detained, the government has learned from previous arrests and applied these lessons to the recent capture. This ongoing struggle between Mexican and U.S. authorities against the ruthless son of El Chapo will be examined amidst chaos and curfews. Battle of Culiacán Part 1. The 2019 Battle of Culiacán, also known as Alculia Carnazo to the locals, remains infamous and is a chapter that the Mexican government wishes to forget. The Mexican National Guard's unsuccessful attempts to apprehend Ovidio Guzman Lopez, Joaquin Guzman Lopez's brother, marked the beginning of this operation. The authorities had discovered Joaquin's whereabouts earlier, leading to a fierce gunfight between his men and the authorities. However, Joaquin managed to escape and informed Ovidio of the incoming Mexican forces. In response, Ovidio summoned Sinaloa cartel sicarios to Culiacán, leading to mass bloodshed for both authorities and civilians. The National Guard successfully captured Ovidio, but found themselves surrounded by the cartel and forces, leading to a severe altercation. The notion of capturing El Chapo's son with a simple knock on the door was a misplaced assumption. Following his arrest, a video surfaced of a phone call where the individual advised his associates to reduce violence. However, this had the opposite effect on the cartel, as they were threatened to kill innocent civilians and abducted people from the streets. Their enforcers were heavily armed, equipped with bulletproof vests, armored vehicles, and heavy weaponry. In addition to taking several hostages, they also occupied government buildings, freeing their associates, burning vehicles, and shutting down airports and intersections. The Mexican president intervened and ordered the individual's release, prioritizing civilian safety over one capture. This approach differs from previous administrations, as violence is not fought with violence. The botched missions resulted in the loss of over 10 lives and injuries to 20 people, including 4 innocent civilians who were killed. The incident was a national disgrace for the López Obrador administration, and it raised doubts about the government's ability to combat cartels in their strongholds. However, the motive behind the operation remained unclear, raising questions about why the U.S. Department of Justice collaborated with the Mexican National Guard to take down Ovidio Guzman Lopez. Let's dive deeper into this matter. In 2017, the criminal CEO El Chapo was extradited to the U.S. and subsequently convicted, prompting the Department of Justice to focus on his sons, collectively known as Los Chapitos. Joaquin and Ovidio were particularly targeted in 2017 on charges of drug trafficking dating back to 2008. An extradition process against both brothers began in 2018, with the Department of Justice issuing an indictment against them in 2019 for drug trafficking conspiracy. The announcement specified charges against both Ovidio and Joaquin. Joaquin Guzman Lopez, age 34, and Ovidio Guzman Lopez, age 28, are facing charges of conspiring to distribute drugs such as cocaine, methamphetamine, and marijuana from Mexico and other places to the United States. The U.S. State Department has offered a bounty of $5 million on the head of Joaquin El Chapo Guzman's sons, who are imprisoned for drug trafficking. This is part of a federal initiative to capture and convict international drug traffickers. President Joe Biden signed 2 executive orders to combat transnational criminal organizations. The reason for this is the increasing number of deaths from heroin and fentanyl overdose in the United States. Mexico has overtaken China as the primary supplier of fentanyl to the U.S. American fatalities from drug overdoses surpassed 107,000 in 2021, with 2/3 involving fentanyl. During a recent speech, President Biden shared that Customs and Border Patrol had confiscated over 20,000 pounds of lethal fentanyl since August of last year, enough to cause the deaths of up to 1,000 people. Opioids accounted for nearly 75% of fatalities in 2020, with illicit fentanyl being the primary culprit. Despite Mexico's president banning American agents from apprehending criminals on their soil, analysts of Mexican organized crime believe that the Biden administration's efforts to combat the Sinaloa cartel will push Mexico to take action, which has since occurred. Having established the authorities' backstory and motivation, along with the account of their previous failed attempt, we can now delve into the current events of the video's detention in Culiacán. The Battle of Culiacán, Part 2. Mexican authorities have apprehended Ovidio Guzman Lopez, who is suspected to be a top fentanyl smuggler in the country. The arrest was made in Culiacán, a city in the northwestern part of the nation known to be the base of the notorious Sinaloa cartel. The Mexican National Guard intercepted an armored convoy in Jesus Maria, a human settlement at the edge of Culiacán, leading to the arrest of Guzman. It is worth noting that the arrest came just before a North American Leaders Conference in Mexico City, where security issues on the continent were to be discussed. According to former analysts and DEA officials, the Mexican government has a history of arresting major narcos before important bilateral meetings, which is seen as an intentional and performative move. This recent arrest has brought some closure for the Mexican president after a failed attempt to arrest El Chapo's son. The high-ranking member of the Sinaloa cartel, Ovidio Guzman Lopez, was captured by security forces and is currently being held in a military base in Mexico City. This successful arrest comes 3 years after the government's embarrassing attempts to detain him. The Mexican National Defense Secretary, Luis Crescencio Sandoval, confirmed the news in a press conference. During the gunfire outbreak at the Culiacán airport, passengers of the airline were filmed taking cover. To prevent unnecessary bloodshed, similar to the first Battle of Culiacán, street blockades were set up, and the local government advised civilians to remain indoors. As a result of the violence, schools and administrative offices were closed. Culiacán Mayor Juan de Dios Cames also tweeted, urging the people of Culiacán to avoid leaving their homes due to blockades in various parts of the city. He promised to update them when the situation changed. Mexican security forces attempted to control the violent response to the arrest of Guzman's associates in the Culiacán area on Thursday morning. Burned vehicles were scattered on the streets, and heavily armed law enforcement patrolled in pickup trucks. Sinaloa's public security chief, Cristobal Castaneda, stated that they were working to manage the situation, but 18 people, mostly security officers, were injured in the gunfights and are receiving treatment in Sinaloa hospitals. The chaos was similar to what happened on Black Thursday on October 17, 2019, when the Army and National Guard who attempted to arrest Guzman. The Guzman family has a history of eluding Mexican authorities, and El Chapo's sons aided in his notorious escape from a Mexican security detention center in 2015. This is an incredibly unpredictable case due to the volatility of the Sinaloa cartel. It is impossible to determine if they will resort to kidnapping civilians once again, or if there will be a publicized video of the suspect being detained, as was seen with his father. Alternatively, he may face extradition to the United States for prosecution. And there you have it, the story of how the arrest of El Chapo's son got 29 people killed. Let us know your thoughts on today's video in the comment section below. And that's all for today. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for more informative videos here at Criminal Records, and we'll see you in the next video.